Imagine standing in the sunshine of Stockholm, Sweden, in 1912. The King of Sweden holds your hand tightly and exclaims in front of the whole world, "Sir, you are the greatest athlete in the world." Around your neck hang 2 heavy Olympic gold medals, symbols of the limits of human physical ability. And you, a poor boy from an American Indian reservation, have become the most dazzling dot on the planet. Yet only half a year later, this glory vanished like dew evaporated by the midday sun. Even your name was cruelly erased from the Olympic records. The name Jim Thorpe now carries an ancient, deep sorrow. Tonight, by the softly flickering firelight, let us step into his real life through this story that needs no effort to remember. What we will see is not a standard inspirational myth, but a man struggling with his identity, lost in the forest of rules, yet always retaining his wild dignity. That sense of fate, falling from the clouds into the mud, is like a night rain over the North American Great Plains, cold, lasting, yet cleansing the soul. On this quiet night, follow me to find the giant exiled by his time and fondly remembered by history. The story begins in the wind-swept wilderness of Oklahoma. In 1887, Jim Thorpe was born into a family of mixed Irish and Native American descent. His native name was Bright Path. It was a path destined to be rough. In his childhood, relatives passed away one after another, and poverty followed like a shadow. He was forced to leave home and attend the Carlisle Industrial School, built specifically for Native Americans, whose motto was, "Kill the Indian, save the man." But Jim Thorpe's heart, belonging to the wilderness, could not be confined by walls. He discovered that when he ran, the wind carried away all his sorrows. He was an instinctive genius. At any ball sport, any track and field event, he could perform better than those who had trained for 10 years. After just one glance, one famous scene took place on the training field. As a prank by his teammates, Jim's sports shoes went missing just before a competition. Instead of anger, he silently walked to the trash can and pulled out 2 worn-out, mismatched old shoes. He stuffed in rags to fill the extra space, then stepped onto the track in this odd pair. That afternoon, he ran faster than ever before and jumped to heights that amazed the world. In that moment, he cared nothing for championships. He only wanted to prove that even with scrap under his feet, his soul could still leap into the sky. This primal, pure vitality caught the attention of Coach Pop Warner, opening a one-way ticket to Stockholm. The 1912 Olympic Games were a stage for Jim Thorpe alone. He competed in the pentathlon and decathlon, meaning he faced nearly every known physical challenge over several days. In this ultimate contest, he not only broke world records, but also displayed a relaxed dominance that left his opponents in despair. One moment, he could hurl a javelin in an astonishing arc. The next, he glided over the high jump bar like a cat. King Gustav V's praise became the brightest highlight of his life. Yet behind glory lay cold, rigid rules. Less than a year after returning home, a tabloid reporter dug up a chapter from Jim's past. During his time at Carlisle, to make ends meet, he had played a few months of minor league baseball in North Carolina for just $2 a week. In an era ruled by so-called pure amateurism, those $2 became an unforgivable sin. The Olympic Committee quickly revoked his status, took back his medals, and declared him a professional athlete rather than a gentleman amateur. Jim offered no defiance. He wrote a humble letter of apology saying, "I am just an ordinary Indian boy. I never knew those $2 would take away my dreams." But the letter brought no mercy. His name disappeared from the records. A national hero became an outcast officially denied. This punishment carried heavy prejudice against his ethnic identity, cutting his life short at its peak. Stripped of his Olympic glory, Jim Thorpe did not fall immediately. Instead, he began a long, lonely journey of self-redemption. He joined professional baseball and football teams. In an era before television broadcasts, He was the box office draw. He still dominated on the field. But the light in his eyes slowly faded. He realized that no matter how fast he ran or how far he threw, the mainstream world only saw him as a performing Indian. He turned to alcohol, his only refuge from the curse of those $2. When the Great Depression hit in 1929, Jim Thorpe's once tigerish body began to erode from age and poverty. The once god of athletics became a construction worker, hauling heavy stones under the scorching Los Angeles sun to survive. He also went to Hollywood, playing silent, nameless savages in Western films and Native American-themed movies. Can you imagine? The giant once praised by a king ended up in the corner of a screen, playing a wordless barbarian just to earn a meal. He often sat silent with his wife and children late at night. The heavy metal cases were empty, yet he never complained about the injustice of the rules. He simply felt the world always wanted him to stop, but as long as he could walk, he could not end his exile. Jim Thorpe's later years were an extremely desolate, prolonged farewell. He underwent multiple surgeries for lip cancer, leaving him struggling to speak. His savings were gone, and he eventually relied on public charity to survive. He still loved sports, but he could no longer run. He sat quietly by the television, watching younger athletes receive cheers, his expression calm and heartbreaking. When he died, there were no flowers or medals beside him, only a faint memory that he was once a champion. Even his burial became an absurd territorial dispute. A small, unknown town bought rights to his name, renaming itself Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, purely to attract tourism. Homeless in life, he became a place name in death, a darkly humorous final wound to his fate. Yet true justice slowly arrived 30 years after his passing. After decades of campaigning by his family and supporters, the International Olympic Committee finally admitted its mistake. In 1982, replica gold medals were presented to his descendants, and his name was restored to the history books. Justice came more than half a century late, but it proved one truth: a great soul may be shadowed by rules, but it will never be erased by time. Jim Thorpe's story has ended, but the question it leaves still ripples through history each night. Can $2 truly measure the dignity of a genius? Can the iron law of rules erase the miracle of a soul? He was a miracle nurtured by Mother Earth, forced into the maze of civilized society, only to have all his gifts taken away at the exit. But as you close your eyes tonight, do not remember his poverty or his disgrace. Remember the silhouette of him leaping through the Stockholm breeze, wearing shoes scavenged from a trash can. In that moment, there were no rules, no race, no old debts, only humanity's purest pursuit of freedom. Now, close your eyes and picture the boy running across the Oklahoma wilderness, whose native name was Bright Path. That path did not vanish. It has traveled through a century of mist to become the quietest glow of this night. All exile is over. All glory has been restored. Good night, on this night that needs no effort to remember. May your dreams hold free running, and a homeland you will surely reach.